We have to start with what just happened over the past 62 minutes on The View. And it's not even one of my wacky View clips for you where we just make fun of Sunny or Joy. I mean, we love those. But this is like legit Joe Biden, who's on, well, you guys will tell me what he's doing here. And I'll tell you what Mark Halpern says. He's on some sort of a rehabilitation tour. Okay. Anyway, he goes on to The View, and it wasn't rehabilitative at all.
They tried to laugh it off, pretend it was normal. But what just happened? It blew the internet wide open. Biden fumbled again, a painful teleprompter meltdown, while the hosts of The View awkwardly smiled through the chaos. Enter Megyn Kelly. With a flamethrower, she didn't just fire back, she roasted everyone in the room. From Biden's senior slip to Joy Bihar's foggy spin, nobody was safe. This wasn't a segment, it was a takedown. And fans? Shocked. But here's the twist. You won't believe who she went after first.
I've noticed that Trump can't stop talking about you. He's obsessed with you. As of late April, he had mentioned you and your family and your administration at least 580 times. We're talking shrink land now, because, you know, when you're obsessed with somebody, you have to look in yourself and say, what is going on here? And at his Trump's cabinet meeting last week, your name was invoked 52 times, and he blamed you for the economic mess that his tariffs are causing. Why is he so fixated on you and blaming you for everything?
I beat him.
It started like any other Tuesday. Birds chirping, coffee brewing. And somewhere in America, Whoopi Goldberg was committing a full-blown offense against logic. Enter Joe Biden, the man, the myth, the walking teleprompter malfunction. Naturally, The View saw chaos and doubled down. They dragged out the fake plants, unleashed the forced laughter, and tried to mask the disaster with noise. But this wasn't just awkward. This was a meltdown so messy, the smoke trail practically triggered the sprinklers.
Here's a little bit more. Speaking of those around him who covered up his infirmity, or at least that's where my mind went. Dr. Jill was there too, and as usual, came to the rescue. Watch SOT 38.
What is your response to these allegations, or are these sources wrong?
They are wrong. There's nothing to sustain that, number one. Number two, you know, think
This
of
is about the books.
What we're left with. We're left with a circumstance where we had an insurrection. I started.
The people who wrote those books were not in the White House with us, and they didn't see how hard Joe worked every single day. Joe worked really hard. I think he was a great president.
She says none of these people writing the books worked for us. Well, one of the first to have his book hit interviewed Ron Klain, who was Joe Biden's chief of staff for almost all of his presidency. And he went on the record saying that Biden thought he was president of NATO. Where was that follow-up, ladies of The View? I must have missed.
Now picture this. Biden shuffles onto the set like a lost grandpa crashing a high school drama rehearsal. Except this wasn't fiction. The hosts of The View exploding into applause so robotic, you could practically hear their contracts begging, "Just smile. Don't lose the job." It was meant to be uplifting. Presidential. Instead, it felt like bingo night gone wrong, mixed with a dose of cringe so thick, even the audience winced. And the denial? It wasn't subtle. It was so strong. It could have powered Joy Bihar's flat iron.
He could barely spit it out.
And he threw that one out there too.
My goodness.
He and Obama are two peas in a pod on this. Sexism and racism, if you didn't vote for her. That's obviously what she thinks too. But the nerve of this guy of all people to come out and say that's why she lost.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal, Megyn. You know they're putting him out there to provide proof of life because a lot of people are wondering. They hadn't seen him in a while. But at some point in every person's life, you go from rehab to palliative care. And he is definitely in the palliative care category right now.
Right now, something surreal is happening. But don't worry. America's favorite, I'm not mad, just devastatingly disappointed media assassin is watching. Megyn Kelly witnessed this glitter-drenched train wreck unfold with the kind of disdain usually saved for soggy toast and TikTok gurus. And yes, she had thoughts. Big ones. She didn't just critique it, she nuked it, roasted the set, fried the teleprompter, and salted the earth where the cue cards once stood.
Oh, they asked him about that. They asked him about that moment. Watch this. Stop 36.
When the vice president was here, I asked her if she would have done something differently than your administration over the past 4 years. And because of all the successes that your administration had, I think her response was, there is not a thing that comes to mind. Now, that answer was weaponized against her. And there has been some reporting that you encouraged her.
Because let's be honest, watching The View fumble a Biden appearance is like handing the Olympics to raccoons on Red Bull. The bar, it's not low. It's gone. And yet, they still managed to faceplant every fake nod, every staged laugh, each sugar-coated question tossed like marshmallows at a collapsing statue. It wasn't charm, it was panic. Desperation disguised in daytime glam.
Did that clear it up for you?
I mean,
you have clarity on it now?
That gerbil is having a hard time spinning the wheel. It is about as torturous as I've ever seen.
It's torturous, and on Sunny's part too. There, like
Yes.
she is trying to hand this off to Biden, and hopefully he can take it from there, right? Like okay, she wants to straight face tell us that what the question was, like what sort of wins would you have changed? Like that's the actual question you would ask a person. It doesn't make any logical
She didn't
sense.
just react. She detonated. Megyn Kelly took that train wreck and slow-cooked it in contempt, glazed it with brutal clarity, and served it cold, on a platter labeled, "How is this even real?" No cue cards, no glam team breathing. Affirmations. Just raw intellect and the wild idea of logic. She didn't flinch. She dissected the segment like a neurosurgeon who'd seen enough. While others giggled through glitter, Megyn sliced through the delusion like it owed her money. It wasn't commentary, it was demolition. Every line, targeted, every pause, a grenade. This wasn't a breakdown, it was a reckoning. The View tried to parade Biden's appearance like it was a win, but Megyn saw what the rest of us were too polite to say. It was political puppetry, and they were tugging strings on. A performance no one believed. She didn't torch them. She turned the set into a 5-alarm fire, like the whole show was sponsored by disaster, and through the chaos, while the hosts clung to pretense. Megyn? She became the one clear voice, cutting through the noise. But here's the question everyone's now whispering.
What the hell was he talking about, by the way? He was like, I've never seen such an effective, like, misogynistic campaign. What the hell? Like, that's actually a first take. I mean, I know that Democrats say, well, it's because the country is misogynistic and racist and all those things. But like, he's pointing the finger basically at the Trump campaign, saying that they had like this. Well, I mean, if you go back to like the ad slate of the messaging matrix that the Trump administration put together in the course of that campaign, it was immigration, it was crime, it was the horrible economy. I mean, none of these things are gender specific.
Because here's what they won't tell you. The View didn't interview Joe Biden, they shielded him. It was less journalism, more crisis babysitting, a performance so sugar-coated it made oatmeal look spicy. They fed him questions like, they were afraid the truth might break him, and when he made it through a sentence without calling someone corn pop, they cheered. Like it was the Super Bowl, this wasn't politics, it was a parade of pretend. So loud, even the ghost of Walter Cronkite wanted to hit the mute button. And then Megyn stepped in, fists up, truth loaded. She didn't hold back. She carved through the charade like she was born for it, calling out every off-camera cue card and every on-camera delusion. Watching the hosts ignore Biden's verbal implosions, Megyn said it best. It was like watching a family pretend the Thanksgiving turkey didn't just catch fire in the oven. This wasn't news. This was narrative cosplay. A dreamland where Biden's flawless, the economy's booming, and their show still matters. But here's the spoiler. None of it happened.
I'm saying the way that she's like beyond effusive of being like, so here's the thing. Because of your record of tremendous successes, dear leader. Like, what?
Right.
Are you asking him a question?
Like, Joe Biden, tell us your greatest weakness.
And you know what? You know
listen
what's
too
so
well,
amazing?
You know?
What's so amazing about it, you guys, is that, so here she's like, I am not going to make the same mistake twice. You know, I already fucked up Kamala Harris's run for the office. And I am not going to do anything to undermine this guy. So I'm just going to give him the answer in the question. Like, And so she declined to distinguish any of her policies from all the ones that you did so successfully. What's your reaction to that? Right? So she's trying to give him the softball like that. Right. And then he has no idea what she has said.
And what did Megyn do with this chaos? She didn't just call it out. She obliterated it, like a judge on a rigged reality show watching someone try to bake a cake with mayonnaise and blind hope. She tore apart the fake sisterhood, the staged laughter, the forced gasps when Biden forgot who he was even talking to. Then she lit the whole illusion on fire. But here's the twist. Megyn wasn't even mad. She was cold, precise, like a velvet-gloved executioner calmly narrating your downfall before pulling the trigger. Her words didn't cut. They sliced, through smug smiles, through tofu-thin talking points. And she didn't stop at the surface. She attacked the entire foundation of The View itself. Because let's be honest, this isn't a talk show anymore. It's a shared hallucination. Sponsored by stale politics and overinflated egos. Every episode, a crash course in delusion, where truth goes to die and bad logic gets a standing ovation. Megyn didn't flinch. She said what millions were thinking. If you parade a struggling ex-president on live TV, then praise his ramblings like they're the Gettysburg Address, that's not journalism, that's fan fiction, written on a napkin during a political blackout.
Interviewing for a job as a cameraman, but
we are beyond happy to have you here for today for a lot of different reasons. But my question is, how are you? How you doing?
I'm well. The family's well, thank God. Things are moving along, and we're getting squared away. Trying to figure out what the most significant and consequential role I can play consistent with what I've done in the past. Mm-hmm. I'm writing another.
And it wasn't just Biden's fumbled performance that Megyn tore apart. She went deeper. She exposed the entire machine, the cast, the cues, the cult-like devotion. And what she found was chilling. Whoopi Goldberg? Megyn didn't hold back. She painted her as a spiritual medium channeling delusion, nodding along to Biden's scrambled monologues like she was downloading divine wisdom through a broken Bluetooth. It was less political commentary and more possession. Megyn likened it to a revival sermon. Only the preacher was glitching like a broken animatronic at a haunted amusement park. But then came Sunny, and that's when things really spiraled. Sunny's face flickered between concerned American and PowerPoint fatigue at a failed law seminar. According to Megyn, her take on journalistic integrity could have been pulled from a fortune cookie. One that had been chewed, spit out, and run over by a Prius? The way Sunny bent reality to defend Biden's fourth contradiction in under 2 minutes? You'd think she was trying out for Olympic mental gymnastics and walked away with gold and a chiropractor bill. Then there was Alyssa, the human LinkedIn profile. Nodding solemnly like an intern in a crisis meeting, she wasn't invited. 2. Every word she spoke hit like a post-it note tossed into a hurricane, unseen, unfelt, irrelevant. But Megyn wasn't angry. She was fascinated, like she'd stumbled into a live taping of a cult documentary with fewer beliefs and more bronzer. She said if denial were a competitive sport, the hosts of The View would have swept the Olympics, Paralympics, and the Puppy Bowl twice. And the wardrobe? Oh, Megyn went there. She described their outfits as if someone raided a discount cruise ship costume closet in total darkness. Every look screamed, "I'm still relevant," while whispering, "I lost a bet." And yes, she even roasted the table. Because what was meant to be a discussion space looked more like a summit of the delusional Avengers, voting on which shade of denial to wear next week.
That hot mess that they air in the mornings, called The View, had to issue not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 corrections, legal corrections, 4 legal notes. We only have 3 of them on camera. Not to mention what they did at that debate, where once again, they tried to fact check only one side. And then when their fact checks got fact checked, they cowered. They cowered in fear. I mean, this is a pattern.
It looked diplomatic on the surface, but what unfolded felt like an infomercial for a political party that doesn't even know what it believes anymore. And Megyn, she lived for it. But this wasn't a review. It was a full-blown autopsy. Jazz, hands and all. She didn't just expose The View, she dismantled it, layer by layer, like a forensic expert in full glam. peeling back the performance to reveal what's really going on behind those carefully curated smiles. Every take hit like a grenade wrapped in glitter. You could feel it, her genuine disbelief that this show still airs as news and not late-night satire. But just when you thought she was done, Megyn turned it up, way up. She cracked open the warped reality The View lives in, where applause lines are scripted before a single opinion is spoken, where facts are only valid if they're drenched in emotional outrage and sealed with a joy bihar tear. In that world, being loud is being right. And critical thinking, it gets left at the door, along with shame and common sense. And Megyn wasn't just throwing shade. She dissected the entire setup like it was a B-rated soap, opera cosplaying as journalism.
And then you get this little lecture from, forgive me, those bitches over at The View.
I'm a Christian girl. When something like this happens to you, like this assassination attempt, and you say something like God was watching me, that is a very unchristian thing to say because it's very narcissistic. Right. Well, God was watching me and not watching them. There's something very disturbing.
God should have pulled the plug on that mic yesterday.
That's obnoxious. I don't know what church she goes to. That is how people of faith talk, and the intimation is never, he was looking out for me, but not those monsters. Right. It's no.
Say something slightly complicated, ask a tough question, and bam, you're out of there faster than a teleprompter glitch. Megyn didn't just critique The View, she destroyed it. She compared the panel to backup dancers begging for relevance. Their every move scripted with outrage and jazz hands of judgment. Their soundtrack, a loop of buzzwords and virtue signals, playing over a faint hum of self-congratulation. This wasn't TV. It was performance art, an interpretive dance about feelings pretending to be analysis. In Megyn's world, watching The View try to tackle real issues was like watching toddlers handle a bomb, with finger paint and glitter, explosive, confusing, and enough to make you question everything. But here's the real shocker. Megyn didn't just offer criticism, she dismantled them with surgical precision, calm, sharp, and brutal. Her raised eyebrow, it cut deeper than any rant. What Megyn exposed wasn't just a failed presidential interview, it was the slow motion crash of The View itself, a place where logic dies, where slogans replace substance, where opinions are judged not by merit, but by the volume of applause. And Megyn, she didn't bring a match, she brought a flamethrower. With receipts in hand, The View's fans, they were shocked, clutching their pearls, because how dare someone criticize their beloved hosts? But the rest of us, we laughed. Finally, someone said what we were all thinking. The View isn't a show, it's a support group. For people who Google once and call it expertise, Megyn Kelly, the patron saint of no-nonsense, didn't just torch their facade. She power-washed it, sandblasted the glitter, and slapped a neon sign across it. Try harder. Next time Biden shuffles onto their set like he's lost on his way to the deli. And the hosts break into their praise dance. Just remember, somewhere Megyn's sharpening her wit, ready to deliver the next blow. But will The View survive? Or is this their final act?